Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, we're always trying to figure out which weapons are the best in any given class. What are the best rifles? What are the best snipers? What are the best SMGs? That, my friends, is specifically what we're looking at today. The best SMGs to use here in Caldera, here in Warzone Pacific. And I think it's definitely a very interesting SMG meta when it comes down to it. You could argue there's potentially a couple of Modern Warfare subs that maybe could hold their own. I would say there's definitely some Cold War subs that hold their own. And of course, there's plenty of Vanguard options as well. So as we go through everything today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD, from news to updates to loadouts to tips. It's all right here each and every single day. And just about 57% of viewers are not already subscribed. So if that's you, feel free to hit that sub button. We're on the road to 800K. It'd be awesome if we could hit that before the end of the year. So at number 5, I've got the Mac10, what I call ka-chow, because you are flying and frying, you are speed with this thing. Full on Lightning McQueen mode with this. I love the Mac10, and luckily it has not been adjusted really at all since the Pacific update happened. We saw quite a few Cold War weapons adjusted and nerfed, like the MP5, like the OTS. The Mac10, though, while it was sort of indirectly touched because of one of the attachments, physically it did not see any nerfs or anything like that. So this thing still has the mobility. It still has the pretty good range for an SMG. It still has a great TTK. Like, all around, this thing is very consistent. And in my opinion, if you're looking for an easy weapon to use that is reliable, the Mac10 is definitely one of those top choices. So as far as the setup goes here, obviously we've only got 5 attachments. However, you can sort of experiment around to see what you feel like works the best with the final one. I'd recommend, though, first and foremost, Agency and Task Force for that best control, velocity, a little bit of extra damage range for an SMG. Tiger Team, as always, for that better movement speed. We want to fly and fry, like I said. 53 round drum is pretty standard. Then when it comes to the 5th and final attachment, to me, you got 3 different options. You can go for the Bruiser Grip, and this combined with Tiger Team is going to give you an insane movement speed, which is just super fun to run around with. You could also drop the Bruiser and run the Serpent Wrap, which gives you a better ADS time, so it's a little bit more snappy. Or if you wanted to, I'd recommend also running No Stock or trying that out if you want a better sprint to fire, some slightly better mobility when it comes down to it. You can definitely experiment around and use any of those 3 for that 5th and final attachment, and this gun is going to work just fine. Now at number 4, I've got the Owen gun. This to me is probably the top tier SMG sniper support weapon in the game at the moment. It is a little bit slower firing. It is a little bit heavier than some of the other subs that we have, especially from Vanguard even. But what this sub has over the others is that TTK, is that damage. This to me is very similar to the Milano meta that we had back on Verdansk, where that was a great close and medium range SMG that you could really use for sniper support and more of like a medium range build if you wanted to, rather than just up close in those CQB areas. So the Owen gun is especially good for that, in my opinion, and obviously we want to cater to its strengths with that. So first up, going for Mercury Silencer. You'll see this on all my Vanguard weapons. Better control, which is huge here, keeping you off the radar. You'll love to see it. For the barrels, I don't feel like there's any particularly great barrels on the Owen gun. However, the 188mm shrouded barrel here, less damage drop off at a long range, which is ideal for that sniper support build. Better velocity, better limb damage. You don't get the headshot multiplier, that headshot damage, but the damage in and of itself on this gun is pretty good as is. So regardless of where you're hitting on the body, it's still going to hit hard and you'll have a good TTK. I go for the slate reflector. You could also try the 2.5 times if you wanted to, but the basic red dot works just fine for me. Remove stock for some better mobility when it comes down to it. That's ideal because it is still a sub at the end of the day. Carver is going to give you that better control. However, if you wanted a slightly faster build, I'd recommend maybe something like the skeletal underbarrel instead and get a better ADS out of that. But to me, Carver works just fine. I go for the 8mm Kurz 60 round drums here. Better damage, better velocity, better range. Ideal for that medium range build and that sniper support build. Lengthened because we are focused on some of those medium range fights, so that extra bullet velocity there is pretty solid. You could also try hollow point though if you really wanted to. Polymer for that better control while you're firing. Steady for a better ADS firing move speed, just keeps you a little bit more nimble while you're firing. Then finally, I use quick, get some better sprint speed on there, make it a little bit more aggressive. Now at number 3, this one might be a bit of a surprise. We've got the Lapa from Cold War. Surprisingly, this was not touched in that huge nerf to all the Cold War subs, where we saw the OTS and the Cold War MP5 both nerfed pretty severely. Those were the top 2 TTK contenders with the Lapa. This was not adjusted though, and so the TTK here is still insane. And for close range fights, this thing is going to melt players. Now, you do have the drawback of the just terrible iron sights, so you'll have to lose out on an attachment running a red dot. I'm updating playlists. But yeah, the iron sights suck. You do have to run a red dot, but outside of that, this thing is pretty good if I do say so myself. So first up, Agency Suppressor, the rifled barrel here, or BR Compacts. Both of those are going to give you a very, very good TTK. So you could go either or there, and it's going to fry all day long. If you want to experiment around a little bit, see which one you like a little bit more. Obviously the rifle here is giving you a slightly better fire rate, but you get worse velocity and range, so it's not as good for some of those medium range fights. Compact though gives you a little bit more control, better aim, walking, movement speed, and slightly better damage, but you do lose some control vertically for what it's worth, so definitely take that into consideration. Tiger team, so we can move a little bit faster. The 40 round mag or the 50 round sort of comes down to preference. If you want that slightly slower speed, 50 would work just fine, but I feel like 40 is pretty sufficient. Then unfortunately, like I said, microflex LED is sort of a must have here because the iron sights are just so bad. Now at number 2, I've got the Type 100. This thing is great for both close and some of those medium range fights because it has very low recoil, pretty solid range, and really good damage. Like, its TTK is very impressive and very competitive in the overall SMG category. I'm really liking this thing, especially after the bloom removal. It just feels like it hits different. It feels like it hits well, and it is very consistent, very mobile, very agile, all around a very well-rounded SMG in my opinion. I am loving this thing right now. First up, Mercury silencer yet again, and as always with that, for the barrel here, I go for the 374 millimeter. Better control is really what I'm getting out of that. No like real increase to the damage range or anything like that. It's just a basic barrel that's going to make it a bit easier to use. You could try the rapid barrel, but it's going to hurt your damage a little bit, and that to me is sort of a deterrent for that. So I feel like this is the best option we've got. Slate reflector here, the iron sights are all right, but I'm more of a fan of the basic red dots. Skeletal stock, better movement speed, pretty basic there. Carver foregrip or the skeletal yet again, whichever your heart desires if you want a faster ADS or better control. I go for the 48 round drums here, damage increasing. You just need that larger magazine. It's practical, way more practical than the 36 round here. Even though both of these are damage increasing, I feel like the Kurz is just the better option. Hollow point yet again because we don't need that bullet velocity unlengthened. Polymer for the better control. Vital, which paired with the hollow point really makes this a very dominant weapon. You're getting good damage to the head, the neck, the chest, and the limbs because of that combination. And then finally, we go for quick once more. And then finally at number 1, I've got the MP40. I think quite a few of you guys probably saw this one coming. It is just the most well-rounded all-around SMG in the game. It is great for up close, could even hold its own in some medium range fights. All around, it fries. It's very easy to use. The control is very basic and very simple. Good damage. Like, there's no cons to using the MP40 right now, right? So you can't really go wrong with it. Standard setup here, but I do want to mention an alternative one as well that you could definitely try out if you wanted to. Mercury silencer. The first barrel here is going to give you some better control. I go for the iron sights in this case just because you get a faster ADS and they look very clean. I don't feel like you need an optic whatsoever. Folding stock for that better mobility yet again. Carver for the better control. The Kurz 40 round mags for the better damage, better velocity. Solid and sort of a no-brainer choice there for the better TTK. Hollow point because that extra limb damage is pretty, crucial and essential there. You don't need lengthen because we're fighting in close range fights. Polymer yet again, steady in this case because frankly all the perks suck for the MP40. There's no real great options here, but ADS firing move speed is all right for an SMG. Then quick yet again. However, if you just want a very close range based, very fast firing, and just sort of very aggressive MP40 setup, drop the hollow point. Add on subsonic. Yes, you heard that right. We lose some velocity, but that's not a deal breaker in close range fights. We're going to go for the recoil booster here, get a better fire rate. We're going to go for the skeletal stock. We're keeping polymer. I'd say keep the barrel, honestly, because these other ones really aren't all that good. Folding stock or remove stock, either or is going to work here. I feel like folding is probably your better choice just because you don't want to be too inaccurate with your control here. And we're going to go for the fire rate increasing mags, the 45 Gorenko. This is a much more aggressive MP40 setup that is really close range based, whereas the first one there definitely works for close range or medium range. I'd recommend giving this one a go though. You still stay off the radar because of subsonic, but you get a faster fire rate and it's just built to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes down to it. But all that being said, those are my top 5 best SMGs here in Warzone right now, and that's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, or hopefully it helped you out. If it did, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, be sure to do so. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.